Holy shit. He said what?
Many people doubt Meghan has long been a mother, following her attendance at Northwestern University.
Meghan Markle's fairy tale rise wasn't built on castles and crowns. It started in a tiny Las Vegas chapel and ended in silence.
Meghan began dating Joe Guiliano.
Long before the cameras, before the palace, there was Joe Guiliano, the man who learned who Meghan really was and paid the price for it.
And the couple got married after having a child when Meghan was almost 20.
What?
The words come fast, sharp, and surgical, because the truth doesn't need makeup.
Long before she was a duchess, Meghan Markle was a queen.
She was barely out of school when she walked into that Nevada wedding chapel, charming everyone with that carefully polished smile.
Well, that's her first wedding in Jamaica.
But behind the veil, something colder was at work. Ambition, calculation, timing.
She told her friends she liked me. I told my friends I liked her, and then we became girlfriend and boyfriend.
Her childhood friend thought it was love. His family thought it was madness. And within months, they'd see why.
According to reports, Noelle was born in or around 1999.
Whispers of manipulation, sudden disappearances. A family who went from welcoming her to pretending she never existed.
Meghan was researching the prince online and found out that the prince is now duped, so I can now go ahead and marry him. At that stage, Meghan contacted Joe, told him that, look, if you open your mouth, I'm gonna sue you. He wiped out all kind of pictures, communications with Joe.
The Guilianos, private, old school, fiercely loyal, reportedly called her a storm that never stopped performing. She called it independence. They called it a performance. No tabloids, no records, just a sealed union erased before anyone could ask why. Because in Meghan's world, every relationship has an expiration date right before the spotlight turns her way. Now, decades later, that buried chapter is cracking open again. Sources close to Joe Giuliano's circle are finally breaking their silence, revealing why the family walked away, why Meghan vanished from their lives, and why that moment in Las Vegas might expose the version of Meghan the world was never meant to see. Her story doesn't add up, her past doesn't match the script, and what's coming next might change everything you thought you knew about the woman who turned scandal into stardom. But before that, do you think Meghan really had a secret first marriage? Or is this just another layer of royal rumor control? Drop your thoughts below.
I'll tell you why. What she told the royal family, what she told Harry, wouldn't have jived, wouldn't have been consistent with the truth.
Las Vegas, 1994, a forgotten chapel on the edge of the strip. No headlines, no guests, no photographers, just 2 signatures and a silence that would last 3 decades. The records are buried deep, sealed behind layers of confidentiality clauses and non-disclosure threats. But those who were there, a chapel attendant, a friend of Joe Giuliano's sister, remember what the cameras never caught. They describe a young Meghan Markle, not the Hollywood humanitarian, but a restless girl chasing something she couldn't quite define. Control, validation, maybe both. Joe Giuliano was the opposite. Traditional, grounded, the kind of man whose family still believed promises meant permanence. He wasn't looking for fame, he was looking for a future. And for a moment, Meghan played the part perfectly. Charming, poised, magnetic. The picture of innocence, until the cracks began to show. Family insiders later whispered that Joe's parents noticed it first. The subtle rehearsed answers. The habit of turning every moment into a performance. It felt like she was practicing being someone else. One acquaintance recalled, even at the dinner table, she was auditioning. Soon after, the couple's story vanished from public memory. No certificate on file, no photos in circulation, no trace in her official biography. Just a clean narrative. Single, ambitious, self-made. Convenient, polished, and perfectly timed for a career that would soon demand spotless history.
Very clear to me at the time that, we were together, I would say. Yeah, she had a very clear idea of where she wanted her path to take her.
And yet, people talk. Former classmates, neighbors, even a relative who left the Giuliano family years ago. Their stories align too neatly to dismiss. The Las Vegas weekend, the sudden fallout, and the money exchanged for silence. What happened inside that chapel may have been legal, but what followed was surgical. An erasure of identity so thorough it almost worked. Because now, those old voices are resurfacing, and they're not just remembering a secret wedding. They're remembering why it had to disappear. The official version of Meghan Markle's life reads like a screenplay, the underdog tale that charmed the world. Born in Los Angeles, raised by a hardworking mother, a girl who climbed from student theater to royal spotlight. Clean, controlled, perfectly edited. But every perfect story starts with what's missing. According to public records, Meghan's first documented marriage was in 2011 to Hollywood producer Trevor Engelson. That's the chapter the palace PR machine embraced, the harmless Hollywood prequel, before the crown. But when researchers Researchers began to trace her early years. They found something unusual: the gaps, missing school years, altered graduation timelines, an early 1990s paper trail that doesn't quite fit. In interviews, Meghan spoke often about her parents' divorce, her acting dreams, her drive to rewrite the script. Yet what she never mentioned was the summer she vanished from Los Angeles, the same summer a quiet wedding took place 3 states away. Back then, Las Vegas chapels kept handwritten ledgers. Most have since been digitized. Most, but not all. One registry from that era shows a couple whose initials match MM and JG, married in July 1994, annulled within the year. Coincidence? Maybe. But the timing aligns too perfectly with Meghan's mysterious absence.
And right now we're in Beverly Hills, and we're gonna pass the Beverly Hilton Hotel, where I'll be on Sunday meeting the other Northwest.
Her early acquaintances describe her differently from the polished Duchess persona. Not shy or unsure, but strategic, observant, relentless. She didn't follow trends. She studied them. Every connection was a step. Every image a move on a board only she could see. The Guiliano family, traditional and protective, likely never imagined they'd become a deleted chapter in her transformation. Yet they did. When the curtain lifted on Meghan's public life, their names were gone. Every trace scrubbed clean. So the known story, the one millions accepted, may be only half the script. Because if that missing year truly hides a first marriage, then every headline since has been built on omission, not origin. And that realization changes everything. This is where the polished biography begins to crack. Not from rumor, but from contradiction. The first inconsistency appears in a set of archived Las Vegas clerk logs, a marriage entry dated months before Meghan was reportedly finishing high school. No license number, no certificate attached, but a signature line blacked out with ink that bled through the paper. Legal experts note one thing: records don't vanish by accident, they vanish by request. Then came the Guiliano family's silence. Not denial, silence. For years, no interviews, no statements, not even a refusal. Neighbors recalled their sudden move from Santa Barbara to the East Coast, overnight with no forwarding address. When asked why, one former neighbor whispered, they said they were protecting someone. Protecting whom or what remains the question. Inside that vacuum of answers, other details emerge. Meghan's name appearing on a Nevada mailing list tied to Joe Giuliano's cousin. A photo dated 1994 showing her at a family picnic. A photo that reportedly vanished after a cease and desist arrived. Each thread leads to another door quietly locked behind her.
Listen, I brought Meghan Markle, whatever her name is, to my Deal or No Deal celebrity golf tournament.
But in the end, nothing beats the truth, the real facts.
She was one of my Deal or No Deal girls that were, she was a caddy for all of my celebrities.
So when Meghan came along into the scene, I just thought, this is fascinating. How is this going to play out?
And then comes the whisper of a child, a pregnancy that allegedly began soon after that secret union. Hospital workers recall a young woman with a new name checking into a maternity wing. Same build, same birthmark, same smile, no baby record, no official trace. Just the kind of silence money can buy and fear can enforce. Those contradictions multiply the deeper you look. Her birth date questioned, her transcripts adjusted, her timeline conveniently rewritten. And still, every public narrative insists none of this happened. But here's where it gets strange. The Guiliano name quietly disappears from city listings. Their former home sold under a trust. Family photos wiped from online archives. People who once mentioned them suddenly stop talking. The closer you look, the less it resembles coincidence, and the more it looks like cleanup. Because when the story no longer fits the image wins. Every time. If the Guiliano family truly vanished after the split, was it protection or payoff? What do you think, guys? When every contradiction points in the same direction, you stop calling it coincidence. You start calling it control. Behind every polished interview, every carefully framed photo, lies a mechanism. One built not on truth, but on narrative management. Meghan Markle didn't just rise. She edited her rise. Each erased document, each silenced voice, each sealed record became part of a pattern designed to protect the version of herself the world was meant to see. Hollywood runs on reinvention. Royal life runs on reputation. Meghan mastered both, but somewhere between ambition and image, something human got lost. Sources close to the Guiliano circle describe the same thing. A young woman obsessed with perception. Every friend became a witness. Every conversation a rehearsal. She wasn't chasing love, she was auditioning for legacy. And when reality didn't match the script, she rewrote it. By the time she entered Hollywood, her early story had been sanitized. A clean slate, conveniently absent of inconvenient attachments. Legal teams ensured the Guiliano name disappeared. Financial settlements, non-disclosure agreements, and quiet relocations kept the truth from surfacing.
What I discovered was, of course, that she was hunting for a man in England from 2013, and she wanted wealth and she wanted fame, and she targeted. There's no doubt she targeted Harry.
For decades, it worked flawlessly until now, because the same habits that buried her past started reappearing in public life, from controlled media narratives to selective interviews and staged candor. The pattern never ended. It simply evolved. What began as a private erasure turned into a professional survival tactic. And that's why this story matters. It's not just about a forgotten marriage. It's about the machinery behind a myth. How charm becomes currency. How secrecy becomes strategy, and how an image can outlive the truth it replaced. Coincidence or calculation? That question doesn't just expose Meghan's past, it exposes the architecture of celebrity itself, built on silence, polished with fear, and protected by power. And somewhere, buried under those sealed records, lies the version of Meghan that never made it to the spotlight, the one the world was never supposed to meet. Every secret needs rhythm, a heartbeat that makes the truth feel closer than it really is. That's how this story holds you. It doesn't sprint, it stalks. Every revelation lands like a drumbeat, steady, deliberate, impossible to ignore. First the rumor, then the document, then the silence. 3 strokes, 1 pattern. It's the rhythm of exposure. The pacing shifts between breathless discovery and cold quiet, fast cuts followed by stillness. It mimics how secrets surface in real life. A burst of noise, then the echo of denial. The narration leans in, then pulls back, keeping the viewer off balance, forcing them to fill the gaps with their own unease. Phrases repeat like whispers. No records, no trace, no comment. Each one a hook buried a little deeper. The viewer waits for release that never comes, only another twist that tightens the line. This isn't gossip pacing, it's investigative theater. Facts arrive in clusters, never floods. Each new detail layered between emotion and suspicion. A photograph dissolves into an interview clip. A voiceover slides under a courtroom document. The transitions feel seamless but surgical, designed to make every second count. Emotion alternates with evidence, intrigue, doubt, outrage, reflection. The structure ensures the viewer never settles. One heartbeat curiosity, the next disbelief. It's cinematic tension disguised as truth-seeking. And in that pacing lies the power, because if the audience can't look away, they start to question. If they question, the silence breaks. Fast forward, rewind, pause. Every frame matters. That's the rhythm of revelation.
To tell the truth, I spoke to very few friends of Meghan because she put a fatwa on anyone talking to me who she could. So I sent off dozens and dozens of emails to her friends, and most of them didn't even reply.
The steady pulse that turns rumor into reckoning. And when it's executed perfectly, the story doesn't just hold attention, it hijacks it. One unanswered question at a time. When a story gets buried long enough, it doesn't disappear, it mutates. The aftermath of Meghan Markle's forgotten first marriage isn't measured in tabloids or lawsuits. It's measured in whispers, the kind that never make headlines but still shape them. Every person who crossed paths with that vanished chapter seems to carry a scar of silence. Former classmates hesitate mid-sentence. Former neighbors change the subject. The Guiliano name itself became a ghost, present only in questions no one dares to finish asking. Joe Guiliano reportedly rebuilt his life quietly. He never sought attention, never sold his story, never cashed in on the infamy that could have followed. But those who knew him say something in him hardened after that summer, a trust fractured by betrayal and spectacle. His family retreated from the public entirely, changing addresses, names, sometimes even accents to avoid recognition. Meanwhile, Meghan's ascent continued. Every year another layer of reinvention, another chapter polished for global consumption. From television screens to royal balconies, she stood beneath the spotlight she always seemed destined for. But shadows have long memories, and the past, no matter how carefully erased, leaves fingerprints that fame can't smudge. No headlines, no statements, no trace, yet the silence itself speaks. The legacy of secrecy doesn't vanish, it evolves. It becomes a pattern, a reflex to protect the image at all costs. The same instinct that sealed her first union became the same instinct that would later guard every narrative, every interview, every controlled confession.
Because she's got millions, so why not step up to a billionaire? And why not go for politics? Why not become governor?
In the end, the Guiliano story isn't just about a marriage lost to time. It's about identity built on omission, a reminder that every star shines brighter when it hides its scars. And somewhere, beneath the noise of applause and royal titles, that unspoken chapter still breathes, waiting for the moment it can no longer be denied. Why would someone erase an entire chapter of their past if it was harmless? Let me know in the comments. Maybe the official story is true, maybe it isn't. But truth has a strange way of surviving, even when every effort is made to bury it. For decades, the tale of Meghan Markle's supposed first marriage existed only as rumor, scattered across whispers, half-burned documents, and the quiet shame of a family that chose to disappear. The Guilianos never sought revenge, never demanded the spotlight, and maybe that's why their story feels so haunting, because sometimes silence screams louder than confession. The evidence, the erasures, the patterns, they form a mosaic no one was meant to piece together. And yet, piece by piece, the picture emerges. A woman who understood the power of narrative long before the world ever crowned her one. A life edited like a film. Scenes cut, timelines blurred, truth rewritten for the sake of a cleaner legacy. But here's what still lingers. Why go to such lengths to hide something so human? Why seal the past if there's nothing in it to fear? Those questions remain unanswered, suspended between scandal and myth. And until they are, the story refuses to rest, because the past doesn't vanish. It waits, it watches, it whispers through the cracks of every new headline, asking the same question again and again. What else haven't we been told? And maybe, just maybe, this is only the beginning of what's still hidden. If you want to see how far this pattern really goes, how the same tactics echoed years later inside royal walls, watch our previous investigation, where we dismantle that Meghan Markle has a daughter. She is aged 30 today, and Prince Harry is speechless. You're watching Star Spotlight. spotlight, where the truth hides between the headlines.